Hello, basement dweller creature, back again. I have slightly negative video. Don't want to get too crazy with this. Not trying to be a massive hater, but there's just something that struck me slightly that I had noticed on the Metacritic for the recently released Kirby and the Forgotten Land Nintendo Switch 2 Edition plus Star-Crossed Worlds. Christ, I'm getting tired of saying that for the game's full title. It's yeah. Anyway, so this is a fairly positive review. You know, it says short but sweet. So let's just read through it, and I'll point out what I notice, which is just a strange detail. And again, don't want to be a massive hater, just an interesting detail I wanted to point out. Kirby and the Forgotten Land was an excellent 3D platformer for the original Switch. This upgraded version is the best edition yet, though I'm unclear about how much of an upgrade it really is, or actually is, I should say. If nothing else, the DLC, Star-Crossed World, is a delightful addition to the original game. On the other hand, if you've never played Forgotten Land before, the complete Switch 2 bundle might not be the best possible entry point. Interesting. If you've already got Forgotten Land in your library, the upgrade/DLC is a modest purchase, totally worth it. But the full bundle is another story. I've resigned myself to the high prices of huge AAA games like Donkey Kong Bonanza and Mario Kart World, but Forgotten Land confuses me. This is a Switch game with some extra content added. If there's a performance upgrade or a resolution bump, I haven't noticed it. I guess I just don't understand why this is a Switch 2 release. Okay, so this is the paragraph that I find quite interesting. So first of all, the point made about pricing for this game is very valid. I've pointed this out myself. It is awkward that this is a 3-year-old game, and this is essentially a $20 DLC for that 3-year-old game, but it's still priced at $60. And so when you bundle in that DLC, you end up at $80, which is the same price as Mario Kart World, which is the flagship title for the Switch 2. Big open worlds. It's Mario Kart, so it's going to be a massive seller. Already is a massive seller. And then you got Kirby, which is an upgrade to an older game. But it's that same price. So that is awkward. Nintendo really is to blame for that. I'd say the root cause of that issue is Nintendo, basically for the whole Switch generation, not lowering the prices of any of their games, presumably just because they don't need to at all. Back on 3DS, Wii U, Wii, GameCube, eventually games would be added to a brand, I believe, Nintendo Selects on the Wii through Wii U and 3DS. And they would be heavily discounted, $20. That's how I played quite a few games, was the Nintendo Selects version. Because it's, it makes sense. If a game has been out for a couple years, it's not going to be selling that many more copies. So putting it at a discount allows it to, keep selling, reach a wider audience. Clearly that thought process has changed, I think, especially just because Nintendo feels they don't need to. You look at Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which kept selling, even though it was essentially, an 8, 9, 10-year-old game, kept selling millions of copies every year, the best-selling Switch game. So from Nintendo's perspective, they would presumably have no reason to lower the prices at all. So they just didn't. That's business, baby, I guess. It sucks. I think you could potentially see that having negative consequences down the line. As such, that hasn't really happened, but something to keep an eye on, especially with these higher prices, it's something to keep in mind. Anyway, the more questionable element of this paragraph is the I don't know. If there's a performance upgrade or a resolution bump, I haven't noticed it. Okay. I don't want to be a massive hater, but come on, man. There's videos online. There's so much documentation of this game being at 60 FPS. I could forgive you if you didn't notice the resolution bump, because to me it's noticeable, but it's not that noticeable. Going from 1080p to 1440p. Other people might disagree, but for me, the resolution isn't the star of the show. The frame rate is. And yeah, I think if you're reviewing a game in a professional setting, maybe you should do a tiny little Google search before you put something like that, a statement like that in your review. And, obviously it's subjective. So, in this guy's mind, maybe he played Forgotten Land on release and hasn't gone back and didn't notice any difference. Maybe he's one of there are people out there who can't see the difference between 30 FPS and 60 FPS. I envy them. But even if, you're that kind of person who can't tell the difference, which, again, I would love if I could do that. My eyes can't tell, though. And there's nothing wrong with that, but, that's not me. So, yeah, maybe a Google search of, does this game include any performance or resolution updates? Maybe the James Paley could have done that. I'm not trying to be a massive hater. I not just pointing things out. All right. Okay, let's just finish the review. See what else this fella has to say. In spite of all this, Star-Crossed World is a great time. Instead of a single isolated region you have to travel to, the new content is built into the worlds we've already explored. The stages are new, though the environments are all familiar. Crystals burst from every surface, new enemy variants are running around, and new challenges are everywhere. Said challenges feel like organic additions to an already well-crafted world. The new levels look awesome. That is to say, these stages feel like a natural extension of Forgotten Land. The new puzzles slot in perfectly, the new enemies feel natural, and the stages are growing directly out of the original maps. From a design perspective, this is an ideal way to build a DLC release into an existing game. On the other hand, these new levels are lacking a certain spark. They don't distinguish themselves from the 2022 game enough for me. You're still working with the original set of powers Kirby had in the Forgotten Land, so the existing abilities can be integrated more effectively into the new content, which is nice. But this also means that there's less that's new about this DLC. The enemies are crystallized versions of their former selves. Their behavior is slightly modified, but they're essentially the same monsters you've encountered in Forgotten Land. While it's initially pretty exciting, Star-Crossed Worlds starts feeling familiar fast. Still a great game. Although the shine wore off faster than I would have liked, I still played a ton of Star-Crossed World. Forgotten Land is still an excellent Kirby game. I wanted more new content, but that base game has some long legs. I even found myself wrapping up post-game business I'd left behind after finishing Forgotten Land. It turns out the DLC is the perfect excuse to just play more in Kirby in general. I had stages to master and copy powers to level up, after all. The persistently compelling mindset extends to Star-Crossed World as well. You're still incentivized to max out every stage, and it's quite satisfying to do so. The new levels are full of their own secret goals, some of which are downright devious. Again, this DLC is perfect for anyone who's played Forgotten Land already. Anything you neglected to finish in the base game is somehow even more tantalizing. New players will love this game, to be clear. It's just that the price of entry is pretty steep. Okay, that's a point you could debate. I can play devil's advocate here and say that if you already own Forgotten Land, then I guess I guess I agree. I don't know. Let's continue. While I didn't think that there was quite enough that was new about Star-Crossed World, I still had a lot of fun. The new stages are well crafted and full of optional goals. The new enemy designs are cool and clever, and I ended up getting sucked back into the base game. On the other hand, the Switch 2 of it all is lost on me. The game looks and performs just as it did back in 2022. Yeah, that statement again. Like, I, I think I covered it pretty well before, but yeah, a weird thing to say in a review that you're publishing on a website that's, credible enough to be included on Metacritic. Okay. I hesitate to recommend something so expensive, but the game is still a lot of fun. Returning fans won't want to miss this one, however. Star-Crossed World is a delightful addition to an already excellent Kirby game, and Nintendo Switch 2 code was provided by the publisher. Yeah. So, no obvious upgrades to performance. Yeah, I mean, this is subjective. If the upgrades are obvious, I don't know. I would not, if I was a reviewer talking about a game, I would not have published this. That's just me. I hope they can, I don't know, maybe put an amendment on this article. Yeah, this is not a big deal, obviously, in the grand scheme of society and the universe, but it is kind of interesting that this happened. Yeah, I don't like to get on the bandwagon of hating reviewers. I think a lot of the gamers of the world can do that at times, and I think that can be a little witch hunty, and I don't know, sometimes reviewers just don't like a game you like, and that's okay, but this is a slightly different situation where it's presenting information, and I would argue is potentially skewed, misinformed way, without really showing any interest and doing any form of external research on this thing you're publishing. Again, they review it positively anyway, so it's not like this really matters in any capacity. Just kind of a funny, interesting thing I wanted to point out. Again, not trying to make a huge deal out of this, because it's definitely not, but it's a bit odd. Anyway, the point about it being $80 is a very valid point, though. I'll hand it to the reviewer there. That's definitely worthy of discussion. The other points about it looking and performing as it did in 2022, that's pretty strange. That's a strange thing to say. Okay, bye-bye.